what they don't want you to know about the Norse goddess Skadi. A forbidden truth, so dark it has been kept hidden for ages. Picture a land of ancient snow and ice, where silent winds carry the echoes of lost secrets, and where a solitary figure stalks the tundra with vengeful purpose. Because beyond the fairy tale of Frozen lies a chilling conspiracy that the sweet Snow Queen we've come to adore might actually be the echo of a far more terrifying legend. One where betrayal, blood, and heartbreak swirl together in a storm of ancient fury. Welcome to MythX, where we unravel the darkest corners of mythology to reveal the stories that make gods tremble. Skadi's saga begins with secrecy and desperation. She wasn't born a goddess, nor was she one of the Aesir or Vanir. Instead, she was a Jotun, a giant from the coldest edges of the 9 realms. Her father, the fearsome giant Shaze, was notorious for his cunning and cruelty. He struck dread into the hearts of gods and men, an unstoppable force of frost and trickery. Together, they lived in a remote fortress of ice, far from prying eyes. Unbeknownst to Skadi, this isolation would become a defining curse, locking her heart in winter's grip and setting her on a path of vengeance. For years, she watched her father commit misdeeds so dark they became the stuff of whispered legends. One of these acts involved kidnapping the goddess Idun, keeper of the golden apples that sustained the gods. In a daring plot, Jazi hoped to force the immortals into subjugation. But his plan collapsed when the clever trickster Loki intervened, stealing Idun back and ensuring Jazi's violent demise. Skadi learned of her father's end in the most brutal way possible, standing on a frozen cliff as she heard the stormy roars of the gods who claimed his life. Her world shattered, her heart turned to ice. All she had left was the burning desire for revenge. Desperate to avenge Jazi, Skadi marched straight to Asgard, the home of the Aesir. Imagine the tension. A lone frost giantess climbing over shimmering walls of gold, confronting deities who could crush her with a single thought. But Skadi was fearless. Rage and sorrow fueled her every step, and the gods were compelled to hear her demands. She wanted justice for her father's death, a father she both loved and loathed for his brutality. But the truth behind his crimes was swept aside like snow on a windy day. Skadi's fury was all-consuming, and the gods knew they had to appease her before the conflict escalated into an all-out war between giants and gods. Odin, the All-Father, devised a twisted compromise. He offered Skadi her pick of a husband from among the gods to bind her fate to theirs, hoping to pacify her wrath. Yet, she could only choose her groom by looking at their feet. It was a cruel, humiliating game, one that reeked of conspiracy and manipulation, leaving Skadi at the mercy of a flippant, mocking pantheon. She chose the pair of feet that seemed the most beautiful, believing them to belong to Baldur, the radiant god of light. But to her shock, those feet belonged instead to Njord, the sea god. In a single moment, her dream of a perfect union crumbled into disappointment. The goddess of snow was bound to the lord of the waves, an elemental mismatch that seemed destined for despair. It might sound like a fairy tale gone wrong, but it's here that the parallels to modern stories like Frozen become eerie. Remember Elsa's isolation, her tragic longing, her cold domain that no one else could truly understand. Now strip away the cheerful sing-alongs and sprinkle in a hearty dose of betrayal, heartbreak, and a thirst for revenge, and you begin to glimpse Skadi's reality. She didn't have a warm kingdom waiting to embrace her. Instead, she found herself trapped in a loveless marriage, split between the icy mountains she adored and the seaside realm Njord cherished. No matter how they tried, compromise was futile. The screech of seagulls tormented her in Njord's realm, and the howling mountain winds haunted him in hers. Their relationship was doomed from the start, a bitter union that crystallized Skadi's resentment. Legend says she retreated more and more into the shadows of the mountains. Her feelings of betrayal at the hands of the gods hardened into a glacial wall around her heart. She found solace in hunting, mastering the bow and arrow. The crisp crunch of snow beneath her boots echoed her newfound identity. She was no doting wife, no fragile pawn in Odin's schemes. She was Skadi, the unbreakable huntress of ice, determined to carve out her own destiny no matter the cost. And with every arrow she loosed, she remembered the humiliation she'd endured. Yet, the gods weren't finished with her. Loki, the shape-shifting trickster, mocked Skadi relentlessly. One infamous tale involves him tying a goat's beard to his own sensitive parts, prancing around until Skadi couldn't help but laugh. It was supposed to be a twisted jest, a forced attempt to lift her spirits and avert her wrath. But behind her laughter lay rage, a seething storm waiting to erupt. She'd lost her father, been saddled with a husband she never wanted, and had her grief trivialized by a pantheon. The venom in her veins only thickened. Over time, she found a way to ascend beyond her origins. Some say the gods granted her the title of goddess as part of her compensation, a backhanded bribe to keep her from raining down destruction on Asgard. But was it a genuine gift or just another game to keep her under their control? Either way, she accepted and became known as the goddess of winter and the hunt. In popular culture, we see winter goddesses as serene, delicate, and beautiful, but Skadi's reality was steely, relentless. She was a survivor who rose from heartbreak and betrayal with a soul as unyielding as the glaciers she roamed. To those who might call her the real-life Elsa, consider this. Skadi's story wasn't about learning to embrace her icy gifts in the spirit of love and unity. It was about extracting vengeance in a land where cruelty was currency. It was about standing tall before gods and making them bend to her demands. And after all her struggles, she did something rarely seen in myths. She walked away. She left Njord behind, left Asgard behind, choosing the frigid peaks over forced domesticity. It was a move that defied the manipulative bargains of the gods and underscored her self-reliance. No magical thaw melted her heart. If anything, she grew colder, but also stronger. Thank you for joining us on MythX, where the ancient frost still whispers secrets of betrayal and vengeance. The next time you watch Frozen or hear the soft crackle of ice beneath your boots, remember Skadi. Remember that the real story of Winter's Queen isn't about letting go. It's about clinging to the memory of injustice until the cold is all that's left. Keep your eyes open and your fires burning bright. Because in the darkest nights, under the snow's hush, Skadi's vengeance might just be waiting to freeze you in your tracks.